Can a large age gap in a relationship work, or do you think it often leads to power imbalances?
It depends on the maturity of the person that you're dating. Doesn't matter whether you're the same age or you got a 20, 30, 40-year age gap. You have to be able to communicate like adults. You got to have similar goals, similar values. And you need to date somebody who's easygoing, easy to get along with. A woman that makes your dick hard, not your life hard. Because life is already hard enough without somebody in your inner circle just lighting bonfires in your backyard, in your house, in your castle or whatever, and causing problems. So living a drama-free zone is not easy, especially when your emotions are involved. Because remember, people can hide who they are for about the first 90 days of a relationship. And then typically once the real them comes out, you might not like what you find. It happens. So you got to take it on a case-by-case basis. You got to evaluate every person's character based on their actions.
Well, we've already kind of touched on this before with the large age gaps and like how there's been men that marry women that are, maybe 40 years younger than them, and that's okay. They may pass away or something, and that woman or the man, whoever it is, the youngest, still has a chance to either have children or kind of live their life after their spouse dies. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it really matters about age.
Yeah, younger women have always dated older men all throughout history. Because, let's face it, it takes time to become competent as a man. And confidence comes from competence at some kind of life's work. And especially if you want to have kids, you're going to have to date somebody that's young enough that still can have children unless you want to adopt. So if you're an older guy and you don't have a family, or you're an older guy and you already have kids and you've raised them but you love children and you want to have more, look at Elon Musk. I think he's, 4 or 5 baby mamas now total that he's got, and he's still keeping the hammer down. He might pop out a few more with some girls as things go along. So it's important to evaluate, do I want this woman to be the mother of my children or not? That's what really matters. Can you see her co-parenting with you? And what if it doesn't work out? Would you want to co-parent with her? Is she agreeable enough? Is she easy enough to get along with? If you, for whatever reason, were not able to co-parent in the future, say it didn't work out between the two of you, would she be civil? Or would she be a pain in the ass and try to use the courts to make your life difficult? It really depends on the person. Easygoing, easy to get along with goes a long way for making life much easier.
With the power imbalances, I guess he thinks that whoever's the oldest would try to be the leader, try to boss you around and wear the pants in the relationship.
Well, men have to lead in the relationship, and you may have a guy that's older and more successful and has lots of money, but he doesn't have common sense, or he's just one of those guys that, as the late great Doc Love used to say, a beautiful woman is like kryptonite to most guys. They have the power to make men fall apart, basically. I'm sure you guys have all had that experience. You get around a guy that really likes you, and he's so nervous and overthinking everything, he can't even talk to you or have a normal conversation without freaking out, or dating him, and he gets super mad or super angry, super jealous. He blows his top, he gets uncentered, he gets upset pretty easily, and those things are going to, turn a girl off. And typically as a guy gets older, he becomes more stoic. He's had more shit happen. He's had, it's funny, Andy Andrews, who I think is a really great public speaker, he said, life is like a series of crises. And he said, you're either in a crisis, headed for a crisis, or coming out of a crisis. That's pretty much the way life is. And especially us guys, as we get older and we go through different crises, you get used to it, kind of. You get used to things being difficult. You get used to things not going your way, and that helps you be calmer and more peaceful and more relaxed as you get older. And especially if you have a younger woman that you're dating or you're in a relationship with, it will really be good for her to be in a relationship with somebody who's very calm and relaxed, because that makes it very easy for her to be calm and relaxed and be a great mom to your kids. Learn that, get to experience what that vibe is like, and pass it on to the children. And if you're many decades older, you might be passing away 15, 20 years before your significant other. One of them we were talking about a couple podcasts ago was Charlie Chaplin, who was like the original. He was like the guy that made movies great. He was a famous international superstar. And when he was in his, I think it was 56, 57, he met a woman that was introduced to him, and she was, wanted to be an actress or whatever. She was, I think, from the Netherlands, really pretty. And they just hit it off. And then like a year later, they got married, and they ended up having, I think, 6 or 8 kids. And then he died in his late 80s, and she lived to be 65, 66, and she died of like pancreatic cancer or something like that. So even though he had, like I said, he was like 56 and she was like 18, I think, when they got together. Mm-hmm. They had a huge age gap, but, he only lived, or she only lived 15 years without him, and it happens. You look at somebody like Secretary McNamara, who was he was a Secretary of Defense during the Vietnam War. He when you see him talk about on the that documentary, The Fog of War, and he was talking about his first wife and like the stress and the Vietnam War era, and like she took all that stuff on personally because the family was always in the news, especially her husband usually getting savaged because the Vietnam War wasn't going well. And when he was in his late 80s, when he was doing that documentary, he was like, he really believed that time period, it was great for their family because it helped all their kids make great connections in D.C., helped their careers, they made great friendships. But his wife took everything personally, and he believes it shortened her life. And I think she died in her late 50s, early 60s, I think it was, and he lived another 30-something years. And so you marry somebody your age, something might happen. They might get sick, or you have a significant age gap. Doesn't mean that you're going to spend 40, 50 years by yourself, but it's possible. That's life. If you're happy, if you're meeting each other's needs, you have similar goals, similar values, go for it, because tomorrow ain't guaranteed. You can get hit by a bus or kidnapped by aliens, or some weird illness happens and poof, you're gone. Time's up.
Was it a Ferris Bueller, life comes at you fast? If you don't stop and take a look around, you could miss it.
Yeah, you may miss it, yep.
Yeah.
So go for it. Who cares about the age gap? If you like each other and you're having fun and you're fucking each other's brains out, and she's easygoing, easy to get along with, and she'd be a great mom to your kids, go for it. She communicates great, go for it. And if she's a pain in the ass all the time, I would decline.
What about, I think we talked
about...
that
will shorten your life. You marry the wrong woman, that will shorten your life.
Like if a guy wants to have kids, but then he gets together with an older woman. Obviously, she's
like we were talking about Macron, right? The Prime Minister of France.
Yeah,
he was 15, and his teacher was like 40. And I guess after he graduated college or whatever, when he was in his early 20s or whatever, he'd always had a crush on her, and I guess they started dating. And she looks good for her age.
Oh, they got a surrogate.
But he was like 15 and she was 40, so what is that, a 25-year age gap?
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant. And so by the time they started dating, it was too late for her to have kids.
Yeah.
So I don't think they even had children, but she had children with her first wife.
Well, that's like Cher and her boyfriend. He thinks like 20 something.
Yeah, she's in her like 80s.
She's
84.
I think.
84.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever, that dude that she's dating, I think he's a famous musician or an up-and-coming musician or something like that.
Something like that, like a recording
He's going to learn
artist.
a lot from her. I mean, she's been a mogul her whole life. Mm-hmm. You date somebody like that, you have a relationship with her. I mean, she's a mogul and he's in the same industry. Should be a great mentor for him. Is he going to spend the rest of his life with her? I don't know. Maybe she may only live 5 more years or whatever.
Don't
but
you say that.
It might happen. Maybe she'll live to be 110.
Yes.
Maybe she'll get some DNA manipulation and live to be 3,000 years old. I mean, who knows?
I hope
Anything's
she outlives
possible in the next 20, 30 years.